who are online, uh, everybody in person, esteemed guests, our students, families, friends, colleagues from UKZN. It's an honor to welcome you today. Everybody looks amazing. I've seen all the hairstyles, the outfits, the matching attires. Mamelo, I think I saw the baby hair. You guys look amazing. Yeah, so welcome to the OT Symposium. As you all know, my name is Mr. Luther Munaring, and I'll be your master of ceremony. So I'll be the driver for this morning until about 12. Let me take you through the program. So I hope you've all had your coffee, your tea. We have nice muffins outside. Please do not bring food inside here. As you saw, there was a note on the board, food is not allowed. So this morning, we'll do like a bit of intros. We'll do welcome and presentations. So from the students and from the staff. And then in the afternoon, we are going to close. And then we're going to have the last item agenda, food again. Right? So as I've mentioned, we are live on YouTube. So be at your best behavior. So we are taking videos from every room, from every angle of this room. So yeah, everyone is going to be on YouTube. All right. Yeah. So for everyone's convenience, I'm going to ask you guys to put your phones on silent mode. All right. And I'm going to ask you to refrain from taking phone calls during the presentations. If you need a toilet, so you know with the gents on my right or on your left, use this door. And then with the ladies, it's on my left, which is your right. So we don't have unisex toilets as yet. Yeah. Wi-Fi, I think we all know how to connect. If you're struggling, we have our technical staff at the back. They should be able to assist you with that. So I'm gonna ask you to make yourselves comfortable and enjoy the symposium. And I wish you all a pleasant and exchanging experience. So I'm gonna ask you guys to relax. I know that the students are a bit nervous. It makes sense. I mean, it's an exam. We're gonna be marking you. But I'm gonna ask you to try your best and own the stage. You've been doing this for how long? Is it almost 2 years now, the research? So it's time for you guys to come and show off and shine. And remember that you're gonna be on YouTube, yeah? Very important. So good luck. Yeah, it's gonna be there forever. Okay. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our first item on the agenda. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our academic leader, Dr. December Mpanza.
Students, fourth years, our very VIPs, and our guest, Mrs. Angela Chetty, the organizing team, and all those who are connecting with us online. I know the university in Kenya is connecting, joining us online. Be greeted. Thank you, Program Director, for the opportunity to do the welcoming. This is a very auspicious occasion indeed, and it is indeed a time to shine, a time to celebrate our research, a time to recognize our quality. We know that our students are here and they have done very good research that we are very proud of, and we are so looking forward to publish that research. I know right now it feels tough and it's an exam. It's something that I need to do to get a degree. But for us, as a discipline of occupational therapy, we are looking beyond just you getting a degree. We are looking at your work being published and being read all over the world. I want to say a few things about African scholarship. I believe in African scholarship. I believe in African solutions for our African problems. I our context is very unique and very different. Sometimes because of the lack of African scholarship and the weaknesses that we have when it comes to research and research productivity, we find ourselves being the consumers of the West, being the consumers of other people, and taking solutions, proposals, models, frameworks that were designed with different population, different context, different challenges. Some people don't even have the vocabulary of the problems that we have, such as load shedding. People get confused. What are you talking about? Load shedding, what is that? It's not in their vocabulary. Their context does not allow them to even learn such a challenge, which has been a challenge in our country, and it still remains a challenge. We are not out of the woods yet. It is for that reason that I believe that we need to strengthen our scholarship as Africans. Not that we will only solve African problems. We are global citizens, and we are global scholars, and our solutions are palatable outside Africa. And the proposals that we make on how things should be done, how we should manage our patients or our clients, it is applicable globally. We are very proud to know that every year we are seeing the exodus of OTs in different parts of the world. I don't want to mention any countries. One would say, is exodus of OTs to other countries a good thing? My answer is always clear. It is a good thing, because it means we are producing OTs that are global citizens and global practitioners. And it always pleases me when I see when they update in different parts of the world what they are doing and the impact they are making. So when I promulgate the African scholarship, I do not mean that we become globally irrelevant. Instead, we become a solution to the global challenges that the profession of occupational therapy is facing. It is therefore fitting to celebrate the Research Day of the Occupational Therapy, University of KwaZulu-Natal today. And we are looking forward to the presentations that our final year students are going to make. And we are confident that they have done a good job. Now it's your time to display and show that hard work that you've put in. And we are ready to receive it. I want to therefore introduce our guest today, who is going to address us. I was not addressing you, I was just welcoming you. So, in our midst, we have Mrs. Angela Chetty, who is a friend to the department, who is our core teacher. She's a part-time teacher, unofficially, who's not getting a salary at UKZN. Because when we send students at Grace Hospital, she does a very good job of teaching them without pay. I think she deserves a clap. Before I explain so many other things that Angela has done, I wanted to mention that the dedication that she has shown and the commitment into teaching and learning that she has done for our discipline is really commendable. And I don't want to forget to thank you, Mrs. Angela Chetty, for the contribution you have made in this department. Angela Chetty is the Assistant Director of Occupational Therapy at Grace Hospital, Peter Maritzburg. She qualified with a Bachelor of Occupational Therapy in the University of Durban, Westville. As you know, we have moved from Durban, Westville to become University of KwaZulu-Natal. She also qualified with a Master of Occupational Therapy cum laude in the same University of KwaZulu-Natal. Additional training, Mrs. Chetty has got basic NDT training, basic sitting, hands rehabilitation, pedagogics, and quality assurance, supervision, and management. Her special interest is on acute and physical rehabilitation. Mrs. Chetty does hold various positions in addition to being the head of occupational therapy at Grace. She's the current chairperson of Provincial OT Forum KZN. She's the ex-chairperson of National Occupational Therapy. She's the current exco of National Occupational Therapy. She's the member of OTASA, Health and Inspector for Private License for Substance and Rehabilitation Centers in KZN. Mrs. Chetty has published a number of articles that I will not read. I want to read that Mrs. Chetty, she is a mother of 2 daughters and a passionate public service occupational therapist who has served KZN and National Occupational Therapy interests for most of her career. Her personal interest includes flower work, reading, baking, and outdoor excursion. Colleagues online and colleagues here, let's allow Mrs. Chetty to address us. Thank you.
So our time is over there. Can you see? Good luck.
Thank you very much for that introduction. A very good morning to Dr. Mapanza and members of the academic team of Occupational Therapy, members of the Faculty of Health Sciences, parents, students, well-wishers, and fellow researchers. All protocol observed. I'm so honored to be part of your research day today, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you for having me today. My talk is doing what matters. Not everything can be counted. That can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted, Albert Einstein once told us, and that's what really matters in research. A 68-year-old male from a rural village sustained a severe stroke. After 3 weeks in a district hospital, he was discharged home in the care of his wife. He was not given a wheelchair, nor did he receive any rehabilitation. He was not able to speak, he was not able to eat very well, and he was incontinent and unable to wash or dress himself. But he was medically stable and he was discharged home. His elderly wife took care of him and 4 other grandchildren. They struggled to get him home on day 1, and then they needed to figure out how they were going to take care of him. The magnitude of care her dependent husband needed forced her to keep her 15-year-old granddaughter at home to help her. He needed all his daily tasks done and soon became very depressed and difficult to care for. The granddaughter dropped out of school and after 6 months became one of the statistics of teenage pregnancy. She now had a baby to take care of, she had a grandfather to take care of, and the only income she had was the child care grant and the support of her grandmother. Additionally, the house smelled poorly due to the limited diapers they had for the grandfather, and people stopped visiting them, and they were isolated from the community as a whole. So let's change this scenario. The elderly gentleman received a week of therapy from the local community service occupational therapist at the district hospital. She also went a step ahead to make a commode from an old plastic chair she had found in the hospital, a simple bath mitt, a long-handled wash brush, and she ensured that the wife had a comprehensive caregiver training program as well. A donated wheelchair was issued to the man, and the necessary training was done to this. She also referred them to the community worker just to check up on him. The outcome was that the granddaughter got to stay at home, as the grandmother was able to now care for her husband. The old man was not as depressed as he was before when he first came home, and he learned to do some things for himself. He improved week by week with the visits from the community care worker and the monthly visits to the community service OT. He never really regained his full function, but he was still able to be an active participant. The trajectory of this family and all its members were changed by the intervention of this one enthusiastic young therapist. A young girl had the opportunity to finish her schooling and perhaps find employment. An older man found his place back in his community, and he learned to live with his disability. A grandmother had less to do in a day, thus allowing her the much-needed rest she needed, and also be able to do the other chores she had. A teenage pregnancy was averted. The financial burden and the social circumstances of this family were improved. This is just one of the stories from an Eastern Cape village narrated by researcher Dr. Kate Sherry, an occupational therapist who lived in this village during her PhD study. I'm so honored to stand before the class of 2025 and to be able to give you a small window into what will become your larger picture when you start this incredible journey you have chosen. The path that you and I have chosen is filled with exciting adventures. It is a process of movement and change, and I think somehow more important than the destination itself. It may also be a means of self-discovery and a way of clarity through experiences of new places and cultures for each of us. Any journey is filled with stretches of easy moments and those that are challenging. How sweet, though, is that smooth stretch of road when we've overcome those difficult parts. Every journey has 100 stories, and I can't wait for you to start making those. Today, I would like to reflect a little on my path of clinical practice. I stand on the shoulders of giants that came before me and instilled in me values, teachings, and groundings that have shaped me into the clinician I am today and continue to strive to be. These include my family, my teachers, my colleagues, but especially my patients. I still remember my first spinal injured patient and some of the many children I treated who now tower over me when they visit. My journey as an OT started a little more than 3 decades ago, right here in this very place when I graduated on the dawn of democracy. And this is the alma mater I'm really proud to be part of. I learned very quickly the hardship of the struggle for equal rights and for gaining recognition as a young, credible Black OT in those years. Being a student here in Durban Westville, as it was known then, was a dynamic experience as we protested for equal rights, freedom, and also to prove our ability through skills and knowledge. Occupational justice was the mission of every young OT as we basked in the sunshine of our new democracy. It shaped my dedication to work in the public sector for most of my career. I have served for almost 28 years in public health, dabbled a little bit in private practice, and crossed the shores to America for just a small stint of OT. So I have had the privilege of working both in public, private sector, and in a first world country. But my greatest joy and deepest satisfaction still remains the public sector. It has frustrated me. It has given me sleepless nights. It has burned me out several times, but it has rewarded me in more ways than I can actually describe. I'm still proud to be part of positive change and will always strive towards improving OT services in the public sector. And it is with this in mind that I've lent myself to various platforms to ensure that rehab services are profiled and taken into account when determining outcomes for various levels of healthcare. Whilst influencing policies, working on operational documents, departmental agreements, and tenders are not the most enjoyable part of life, it does contribute to a greater service. It creates posts, it fosters teamwork, it shows gaps, and it provides information on various areas of promotive and preventive health that gives us the means to show how we matter within the health system. For these reasons, I came back here a few years ago to complete my master's while investigating the different levels of care in OT services. But when I need a break, when I need motivation, when I need purpose, then I go out to find a patient. This is my energy boost. What better space than Research Day to tell you that those hard nights of validating your work and bringing to life a problem statement is meaningful. It is meaningful in a social system. It is meaningful in a patient's life. It is meaningful for health systems and facilities. The research that you have embarked on today becomes the cornerstone to the many questions that you will be asking and the many answers you will be giving as clinicians. It doesn't end here today, but rather it starts here on the brink of your OT journey. In the world of health science and then government health sciences, evidence-based practice rings strongly as we all tap into the very limited pool of funds. If you are able to show it, if you're able to prove it, write it down with convincing research, you may just find yourself in a more positive space to harness resources. I have seen this many times over, and of note, I was able to expand OT services from 2 clinicians to an approved and signed organogram of 30 clinicians in my hospital. How did I do this? It took me down a path of conflict, research, motivation, and a medical manager who shot me down openly until the literature review and the evidence of best clinical practice allowed him to mellow and support me in the quest for good tertiary services. My battle is not yet over because I must still find funding to advance those posts, but from a point of distrust to awarding me with Innovative Leader of the Year that year. I recall how those painful statistic forms that some of you may have filled at Grace became my biggest advocate in requesting funds and resources in my department. I was able to show the profile of patients we treat, the materials we use on them, and how much I needed for the next financial year. The numbers were able to increase my budget for the year and improve services all year round. Of course, in this situation, the numbers do count and speak louder, and I was able to maintain and improve an allocated budget. At the very base, we are healers. Recently, at a rural conference, I was privileged to attend a talk by our very own UKZN psychiatric associate professor and head of clinical unit, Suvira Ramlal at King Denny Zulu Hospital, who highlighted that by virtue that we have chosen a health profession, we are healers at heart. And no matter how and what we do going forward, we carry our healing archetype forward into all situations. Of course, free will dictate the choices and decisions you make on this. I once read that the healing archetype is generally a result maker and not just the armchair philosopher, and they are really grounded in the real problems of this world and seek to resolve them, not just for others, but also for themselves. Then there's the matter of serving versus doing. Doing refers to just performing a task or function, whereas serving probably emphasizes the purpose and impact of that decision. Servers are really motivated by love and compassion and driven by both internal and external focuses of sacrifice, hard work, and open-mindedness. They do what needs to be done, but they empower others. They hold themselves accountable for the performance and their behaviors. Ultimately, it leads to a path of success and great leadership. Each of you will enter into a year of public service, and you will very quickly catch a glimpse, if you have not already, of the occupational injustices and the challenges of our people who rely on us. Almost 84% of the South African population rely on the public health system, and almost 89% of the KZN population rely on us. Next year, currently there are 85 full-time occupational therapists employed in KZN, and next year there will be 65 community service occupational therapists who will service a population of 12.4 million. You will be starting to build your OT career in this climate. If not in this province, then in similar situations in other provinces. What foundation will you lay? How will it be grounded by your solid efforts? Will you give up or persevere in hardship and adversity? Will you change systems? Will you network? Where will your journey take you? And how will you take care of your own mental health? I was recently inspired by Dr. Madeline Miller, a family medicine lecturer from the Walter Sisulu University and a renowned Yandisa trainer, who highlighted the need for health professionals to love what they do and to expand their competencies with a good toolkit. She gives some valuable ideas on how this can be achieved, and I would really like to encourage all of you to actually listen to some of her podcasts. Today, I would like to share a summarized version of some of her insights for a good toolkit for clinical practice. Number 1, find your calling. Love what you do. Be good at it. Of course, we can't be good at everything, but being good at something is also dependent on being competent, which means developing the ability to ask for help for improving your skills in that area. Ask for help on clinical issues. Ask for help in your own personal life and in the challenging situations you may find at work. And these might be from your mentors, from your supervisors, from your forums, from your WhatsApp groups, wherever you may feel comfortable. Also learn to give appreciation and feel appreciated for what you do. Number 2, start a conversation. What conversations will you guys have? Critical conversations, sometimes hard to hear, and sometimes it might be hard to change. Affirmative action conversations, which are really nice to hear, but do they always bring change? Inquiry conversations, which can be either negative or positive. But have a conversation worth having allows you for ideas, listening to answers. They are mutually beneficial, they are positive, and they're uplifting. You are never too young, too inexperienced, or too insignificant to start a conversation. Number 3, master your dragon. So Madeline postulates that we're either in a survival mode or in an executive mode. If we're in survival mode, then that's your dragon. She likens this to your inner core. It's fast thinking, it's self-centered, it's black and white, jumping to conclusions, aggressive and a dangerous space. It is your worst self. And it lends itself to fear, to rage, and to distress. The executive mode, she says, is like your dragon master. It's your higher cortical function for planning, empathy, reflection, and inhibition control. And it lends itself to slow thinking, rational, logical, open, and supportive thinking. This all translates into a care model of give and receive. Playtime, where you interact with the world, and seek, where you can explore and problem solve. So identify your dragons and become the dragon master. Number 4, find what is counterproductive in your life. Identify your saboteurs. What are those things that make you counterproductive? Is it your fight response, where you may criticize, where you may compete, where you may preach or control? Is it your freeze response, where you are a constant pleaser or a stickler for detail, or you are hypervigilant? Is it your flight response, where you just go into avoidance mode, or you're apathetic, employing victim mentality, or distracted on social media? Which are your saboteurs? So the practical application. You might go into ComServe absolutely loving the placement you are in, or you might go into a toxic workspace. Of course, you might feel a little bit stressed about what's going on there, and you may react with fear, rage, or grief, which might be counterproductive, and your patient becomes unsafe. The workplace depreciates you, as others or yourself gaslight, criticize, or intimidate. You don't ask for advice. There's an increase in your rate of errors, and this leads to exhaustion and finally burnout. And this can happen all in 1 year. So a little bit of advice. Appreciate the work environment for what it is, whether it's good or bad. Start a conversation or participate in a feedback culture. Affirm your space with humility and kindness, trust and grace. Develop some insight and awareness of yourself and your own emotions and how that works for you. Develop an insight on the impact on others, and self-regulate. Finally, you will find that the skills and knowledge you built in your research module will hold you in good stead throughout your whole life, as long as you are able to ask questions, as long as you are curious, as long as you are seeking answers to problems. You will constantly apply the principles of research in your daily life. It will be found in the health audits you may be required to conduct. It will be in the quality improvement projects you will use to motivate for resources such as consumables, equipment, staffing, etc. It will be in the monitoring systems you will put in place in your own clinical practice. And it will hold you as a strong base for when you choose to study further, when you choose to ask those complex health questions and create solutions. Develop a toolkit for all seasons and for all chapters of your life. Well done, class of 2025, for coming this far. As a provincial chairperson of occupational therapy, we would like to pledge mentorship to all OTs who will do their community service OT here in KZN. We know that you are going to have an amazing year, filled with the weird and the wonderful, but above all, enjoy what you do and find meaning in it. We look forward to you unleashing your new potential. And in the famous words of Madiba, the time is always right to do the right thing as we continue to make a difference, as every step paves the pathway to a greater tomorrow. I thank you.
Ms. Chetty, Dr. Mpanza, let's give them another round of applause, please. So we've heard you both loud and clear. We appreciate the soothing and encouraging words. Ms. Chetty, you gave us the case studies to show our students and everybody else what we are doing on the ground. Thank you very much for sharing with us your journey. And thank you for the toolkit tips. I hope everybody's listening and is taking some tips. And as Dr. Mpanza spoke to us, this is just the start, everyone. Remember, we are global citizens now. This is only the beginning. This is the start. I understand you're nervous, but I hope you got the message loud and clear. We need to think about, well, beyond today's event, we need to think about the dissemination. He spoke about the publication, so think about that, all right? So thank you very much. I think we are ready to start now. 4th years, are we ready? No, is it a bit too late to ask? Okay, there's only one way to find out, I suppose. Just to remind you, we are live on YouTube. So we have five groups to present. I'm gonna give you like the overview in terms of how we're gonna work. So we have three examiners. So two of them are gonna be marking you. It is Dr. Mpanza, it is Ms. Chetty, and then we have our newly qualified doctor who's doing the moderating, just doing the score, just to make sure that the process is fair. So the main presentation is 10 minutes, so you're all aware of that. So there's gonna be 5 minutes for questions, right? So we are prioritizing the examiners. If there's additional time, we will give the audience an opportunity to ask you questions. The third years are here as well if you have questions. I know you're drafting your proposals now, so get those questions ready. All right. Okay. And then there's going to be about 5 minutes to move around and set up. I don't think we need 5 minutes to do that. I'm sure we're going to be fine. Thank you, Dr. Ndaba there. So we have our timekeeper over there. So because we are live on YouTube, so we are going to do things slightly different, right? So we have we're going to project the time for you, right? So when you have 2 minutes remaining, we have an alarm. Please just give us the sound. That's 2 minutes left, right? And then right at the end, there's going to be a very nice music for you to stop presenting. That's when your 10 minutes is over, right? So as you can see, we are very strict with the time. So I hope you guys, well, I know that you prepared. So whatever you've prepared, please stick to the script. No freestyling when you come here. All right, stick to the script. So if you like, obviously you can bring your cell phones to time yourselves. Just make sure it doesn't go off or it doesn't ring during your presentation. And yeah, stick to the script. And if you need water, you can bring your water here. I know some people get thirsty during the presentation, so that we welcome water in the front. And then I'm going to call the first group. But with the second, the third, and until the fifth group, just get ready before the group before you finishes, right? So that we save on time. All right. So the next group, well, the first group, they are going to talk to us about a scoping review that they did. They focused on functional neurological disorders. It is Mofokeng Hossein, Ebekulu, and Plagi. Please come to the stage. Feeling? Nervous. Okay. So that's where the time is. Can you all see? Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Not changing here. Just maybe check, but it's displaying over there. Who's gonna go first?
Okay, I'm good.
So just check if it changes there. I don't know if that's gonna affect your presentation. It's changing on the screen.
No.
It's not. Okay, so we start again. Hide, compose, begin. I think we're gonna need assistance, yeah. Technical, can you please get assistant? Sorry about that. Examiners, are we ready to start? Timer? Okay, good luck.
Greetings to the floor at large. Observing all protocol. Our research is occupational therapy in pediatric functional neurological disorders, a scoping review. According to the DSM-5-TR, FND is a neurological condition that results from changes in the functioning of brain networks rather than structural brain changes. Its key symptoms include muscle weakness, tremors and dystonic posture, abnormal sensations, seizures, chronic and disabling neurological symptoms. Its impact significantly affects daily functioning, quality of life, school or work participation, and family dynamics. FND is highly prevalent in the pediatric population, with the study reporting an annual incidence of 18.3 per 100,000 children being affected. Despite this, there is a gap. The most recent review in 2017 focused only on adults, excluding pediatrics. There's a clear clinical need as members of healthcare professionals reported low confidence levels in the treatment of FND in pediatrics. Therefore, there's a strong need for education, clinical guidance, and updated evidence to better OT role in pediatric FND. This leads us to our research objectives, which is to synthesize available literature since 2013, identify gaps in current evidence, and inform future research directions. Our scoping review followed Oxy and O'Malley's framework as recommended by the Joanna Briggs Institute. These are our steps. We used the Joanna Briggs Institute PCC framework to identify our research question. The population is pediatric clients with FND or similar symptoms. The concept was the role of OT, including assessment and intervention, and the context was global literature. Our research questions are: what is the role of occupational therapy in the assessment and intervention of FND, and what specific assessment and intervention methods are used by occupational therapists in pediatric FND? Step 2, search relevant studies. The databases searched were EBSCOhost, PubMed, and Scopus using these Boolean terms, and we included articles that had pediatric patients with FND, that were full text and in English, that were of global context, and that were published between 2013 to 2025. We excluded articles that had adults only, that had no OT content, and that were not FND related. Step 3, study selection. 4 reviewers screened articles against title and abstracts, and if there were any discrepancies, the group discussed and consensus was reached. 2 reviewers screened for full text, and a 3rd reviewer acted as a mediator in case of discrepancies. Looking at our Prisma flow chart, 4 articles were removed due to duplication, 54 were excluded against title and abstracts, 18 were excluded during full text, leading us to 13 studies included in our research. Step 4, data extraction. Data was extracted using Covidence, which is a review management software. Data was extracted on author, population, type of FND, year published, OT assessment and intervention. Step 5, data synthesis. Summary of all studies was created and data was summarized into assessment and intervention methods. 8 studies were from the USA, 4 from Europe, 1 from Australia, and 0 from Africa. Study types included 3 case reports, 5 reviews, 3 guides, 1 prospective case control, and 1 textbook. Teams included an MTT of OT, physiotherapy, and psychologists, 3 including social work, with 1 article that had full MTT, 2 articles with psychologists and educators, and 2 articles that were unspecified. The key gap was that there was no representation from Africa, Asia, or South America.
So this is the summary of all specific assessment methods from our study. These include symptom tracking using visual analog pain scales, children's somatic symptom inventory, and functional seizure frequency logs. Psychological assessments specifically can include the modified Stroop task and the magic and turbulence task. History taking was seen as particularly important across multiple studies. Specific functional assessments that can be used includes the functional independence measure, as well as the functional motor assessment. And physical assessments were used as needed, which could include the range of motion assessments, strength tests, and gait analysis. Specific assessments that can be used even across lower to middle income countries include the Canadian Occupational Performance Measure, used to assess the self-reported ability to complete daily occupations, and the Pediatric Quality of Life Inventory, which is a standardized questionnaire measuring the impact on cognitive functioning, sleep, rest, executive functioning, mood, and behavior. The key assessment findings is that assessment should be holistic and occupation-based evaluations, using functional motor assessments, family interviews and histories, and standardized quality of life tools. The gaps found in the assessments is that OT-specific tools were rarely used, and the OT role was underdefined in the literature, with limited reporting on specific OT protocols that should be followed. This is a summary of the specific assessment of the specific intervention methods found. And psychological interventions can include positive reinforcement, relaxation strategies, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychoeducation, family education, and the VEER and REACT techniques. Functional interventions focus on medication management, energy conservation, meaningful activities, and ADL trainings, with physical interventions including writing desensitization, graded motor rehabilitation, the use of virtual reality during therapy, dual task activities, and pacing. Education focused on graded re-exposure to schools and school reintegration, and accommodations to be used in schools with caution. Specific intervention methods that are commonly used within lower to middle income countries include cognitive behavioral therapy, focusing on identifying the maladaptive thoughts and behaviors that promote the persistence of the symptoms and developing more adaptive and appropriate ones, focusing on redirecting the negative thoughts to more positive ones. Relaxation strategies can include de-arousal strategies, both the bottom-up approach in which the body and senses are used to regulate, as well as the top-down approach in which the mind is used to shift focus. It can also include breathing techniques, mindfulness, and exercise. Positive reinforcement can also be used to improve confidence in ability to engage in tasks. Family education should focus on the psychogenic nature of symptoms, the increased activation of the nervous system and its role in symptoms, the lack of physical harm caused during episodes, specifically of psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, and the lack of need for medical intervention within this condition. The realness of the children's symptoms should be emphasized to the family, as well as the role of increased attention and focus on these symptoms in exacerbating them. Families should also be taught how to explain this condition to others, such as with educators and other family members, and it was recommended to use visual tools during family education. Dual task activities can also be used during play to minimize the attention towards the affected limbs and to discourage over-focusing on technique and symptoms, and to encourage automatic movement and focusing attention towards the task. Sessions should incorporate cognitive elements into fine motor and gross motor tasks to reduce focus on the impairment, with success being gently pointed out. Overall, the core approaches of intervention that were highlighted were psychoeducation, goal-directed retraining, family counseling, and graded progression, with new innovations being developed with the use of virtual reality, technology-assisted rehab, and the gamification of therapy. The priority of therapy is functional recovery and participation, not symptom suppression. Overall, we found that there were limited models discussed to guide OT F&D practice. Technology was shown to improve engagement and function, however, access issues that persist in low-resource areas weren't specifically discussed. African studies were also not found, which shows a lack of contextual relevance, and small sample sizes in these studies limits the researcher's generalizability, showing that future research should develop more standardized tools. There were overall limited theoretical frameworks discussed and geographical limitations specifically for lower middle income countries, giving a lack of contextual relevance of these studies. Low-level evidence was also found, with no large randomized or longitudinal studies done, no standardized protocols, which creates limited guidance for OT-specific implementation, highlighting the need for contextually relevant, large-scale studies to be created with more long-term follow-up. For clinical practice, we're shown to therefore emphasize the goals and ADLs during therapy, creating automatic movement patterns, and using meaningful activities and MDT collaboration during therapy. Future research should focus on standardized OT tools, larger studies, creating evidence-based protocols, creating more cultural framework, and cost-effective practice. We also recommend that F&D be included in the OT curriculum to improve therapist competence when dealing with this condition, and that more practice guidelines and educational resources be created. Collaboration, evidence-informed, occupation-focused care is essential. Overall, we found very limited but emerging literature into this condition, showing that OT is vital in the MDT management of F&D. At its core, therapists should focus on goals, ADLs, facilitating automatic movement, and engagement in functional activity. However, there are gaps in research around the tools, frameworks, and there's a limited research diversity around FND literature, showing that future research and African research is essential in this condition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So it is now time for questions. So there's 5 minutes for that. Examiners, are we ready? So if you want to call questions, you can always do that, but it's still within your 5 minutes. All right.
Should I go ahead? Thank you. First question on the access to the literature. Did you use any other means of further finding articles besides the search engines that you mentioned? That's question one. Maybe my concern comes from the fact that we find nothing in Africa, which is concerning, but we do understand that the area is not well studied maybe in our country. Then third question, so that you answer it once. You mentioned cultural framework. Can you elaborate what you mean by that? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So for the first question, we did look at other search engines such as ResearchGate, iCatalog.
Frameworks that overlap a little bit, such as the use of the cognitive behavioral frame of reference across multiple disciplines. We also wanted to look at the larger MDT element, so to better understand what other MDT teams were doing, allowed us to understand what we were doing, but we specifically wanted to look at areas where our role intersects and where we can learn from the learnings of other disciplines.
Okay, so thank you so much. So maybe I could suggest that under concept, you would clarify that when you're publishing this amazing work that you guys have done.
Thank you very much. Okay, just a quick announcement from technical. When you guys come here, remember we are live. So one person on the podium and then the rest on the side, right? Okay. So I'm going to call the next group. They are coming to tell us about informal micro enterprises or small businesses. So this is Isak, Twala, Nakuta, and Masuku. Just check if you can change it, right? Just check if you can change it. Yeah, it is working. Okay, let me just make an announcement. Okay. So examiners, do we need more time maybe? Just a minute? Okay, just let us know when you're ready.
Morning to the audience. We are Group 2 and we're going to be presenting our research under the topic exploring activities associated with informal microenterprises in urban KwaZulu-Natal, which is a qualitative study. Across South African vibrant streets and township corners, microenterprises are vital for survival, creativity, and self-determination. They engage in activities such as selling home-cooked meals, braiding hair, tailoring clothes, and spaza shops to sustain livelihoods. From an OT perspective, microenterprises are meaningful occupations, and MOHO was used as a guiding framework for this study. The problem statement shows a gap in OT practice and education, with more focus placed on formal employment, self-employment realities often overlooked, limited support for micro-entrepreneurs, skills and challenges are underexplored, which increases the need for inclusive practice in OT. Which brings us to the question of our research: what are the processes involved in running and setting up informal microenterprises in urban KZN? The aim of our research was to explore processes, challenges, and skills in managing informal microenterprises with the ultimate goal of informing OT practice and education through the development of a comprehensive checklist. The research objectives involved examining the daily operations routines and occupational demands faced by the owners, identifying the specific skill gaps and barriers, and to examine the key factors that contribute to sustainability and the growth. The methodology, the design that was chosen was the qualitative exploratory design, with the setting being in the Reservoir Hills here in KZN. The participants were informal microenterprise owners, and we chose purposive sampling for our research. With the data collection tool, it was semi-structured interviews, which were in person and on Zoom as well. For the inclusion criteria, it was the microenterprises that are operational for 3 years or more. Owners must be self-employed and owners must be active in daily operations. And the exclusion criteria involved owners outside KZN and owners that are not involved in the daily operations. The trustworthiness ensured that for credibility, there's prolonged engagement and member checking, and we ensured the rigor and the quality of the study by following the Lincoln trustworthiness. For transferability, there was a detailed context and participant description made. For dependability, we documented the process, and audit trail was created. And then for confirmability, there was reflexivity and supervisor consultation that was maintained. For data grounding, findings reflected participants' perspectives. And for transparency, clear documentation of methods was done. Our research procedure started with obtaining the ethical clearance from the University of KwaZulu-Natal HSS REC committee. A pilot study was conducted with 4 participants. Recruitment of participants was done. Data collection through interviews reached data saturation at 6 participants. The transcription of the audio recording was done, which led to the data analysis and the manuscript writing. We considered the ethics during our research, which involved informed consent, privacy, respect, and confidentiality. The participants were informed of the aims, the risks, and the withdrawal rights of the research. The data was securely stored in the restricted researcher access, and the pseudonyms were used to protect the participants' identities. From the data analysis, the 4 key themes emerged, namely volition, habituation, performance capacity, and the environmental influences.
Looking at theme 1 of volition, with 3 sub-themes presenting as financial necessity and unemployment, independence and autonomy, and passion, purpose, and family influence. Here, financial necessity and unemployment drive entrepreneurship with the desire for independence and autonomy that control over one's work. Passion and family influence motivated engagement, and entrepreneurship sustains identity, dignity, and purpose. This reflects resilience and ability to turn vulnerability into opportunity and demonstrates self-determined occupational engagement.
One of the quotes that arose in this sub-theme was that, because I wanted to also work for myself.
The second theme of habituation presented with 2 sub-themes of extended and irregular working hours and irregular routines and demand-driven schedules. Here, work schedules were dictated by customer flow, with balancing work, self-care, and family responsibilities being challenging. Female participants also faced dual occupational burdens, and disrupted routines affected rest and well-being. This showed that occupational adaptability enables continuity despite instability.
Under extended and irregular hours, the quote that arose was, I usually arrive at 8 o'clock and spend 12 to 13 hours. Actually, I don't have a specific time. It depends on the business.
For theme 3 of performance capacity, 2 sub-themes arose, which were self-taught learning and skill acquisition and core business and technical skills. Here, they were predominantly self-taught technical and business skills, and skills were acquired through observation and trial and error. Strong communication and customer service maintained loyalty, with time management critical for efficiency. Physical strain and emotional exhaustion were common, and skill gaps affect occupational performance. The OT role here can be ergonomics, energy conservation, and stress management. Looking at theme 4 of environmental influences, there were 3 sub-themes, namely physical environment, institutional barriers, and economic survival and aspirations. Here, home or roadside workplaces affected safety and accessibility, and institutional barriers included lack of licensing and harassment by authorities. Limited formal support restricted growth, with social networks and customer loyalty sustaining continuity. Economic survival drives creativity and innovation, and aspirations for business expansion and formalization were noted. Here, interaction between volition and environment shapes the outcomes.
One of the quotes that arose from the sub-theme economic and survival inspirations is, if I had money, I would expand, rent a small place where customers would find me easily.
The discussion under the key themes of volition shows that motivation is rooted in survival, independence, and purpose. Under habituation, we can see that irregular work patterns show adaptability but strain well-being. Under performance capacity, we see that informal learning fosters creativity but leads to fatigue, and in environmental fluences, there are unsafe workspaces and systemic barriers that persist. Participants have shown resilience, resourcefulness, and competence, and the interconnection of motivation, habits, capability, and context sustains enterprises. The study limitations looked at a few study limitations presented, such as self-reported data where possible biases could be present in responses, and researchers' influence where OT background may shape interpretation. The language barriers persisted where subtle meanings may have been lost in translation, and despite these, findings offer authentic insight into lived experiences. Looking at the conclusion, the micro-entrepreneurs engage in meaningful, self-directed occupations shaped by motivation, habit, skill, and context. Despite systemic barriers and financial precarity, participants show creativity, resilience, and adaptability. MOHO highlights how volition, habituation, performance capacity, and environment sustain engagement. With regards to the OT implications and recommendations, OTs can assist with in the occupational therapy training and curricula, where included OT training could be ergonomics, stress and time management, and revising the OT curricula to include entrepreneurship and self-employment. With regards to skill development and capacity building, OT can aid in providing skill training such as finance management, time management, and record keeping, and improve access to safe trading, microfinance, and mentorship. With regards to advocacy and collaboration, OTs can collaborate with other OTs, authorities, and economic stakeholders and advocate for safe, accessible trading spaces. OTs can also be involved in advocating for policy changes and structural barriers and aid in informing policies that recognize micro-entrepreneurs' voices. Finally, with regards to research and evidence-based development, further research on OT interventions and long-term economic training impact can be conducted in larger mixed method longitudinal research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to ask you some questions. Examiners, are we ready to start? Okay, whenever you're ready.
Thank you for your study, a really, really relevant one. Just 2 questions for me. Number 1, I just want to find out, you focused your research, you said you excluded research out of KZN. So I just would like to, or your methodology, I'd like to understand why your research was focused just here in Reservoir Hills. Did you consider any research outside of the CBD or the town, rural spaces and informal micro enterprises in that space? I wonder if you can just comment on that.
Okay, so thank you for your question. The reason for our relatively strict inclusion and exclusion criteria was the fact that in fourth year we were not all in Durban CBD throughout the year, so it made it a bit difficult with our actual data collection. So narrowing down our setting made us be able to still achieve those aims that we wanted to in a smaller setting. And it related to our setting of an urban area.
What recommendations then would you take forward to explore this research on a
So
larger
yeah,
scale?
due to it being like an undergrad research, it's kind of just the starting point, and we'd recommend that we found even in literature that there are major gaps in what is available. And so we'd recommend that studies explore greater settings and expand like your samples and things like that, to also focus on different contexts, as ours only focused on semi-urban, urban. So exploring more of the rural context and how do individuals in the rural context actually use this, where we may not even be aware of it, but it exists in their context, and being able to support them in their context.
Thank you. Just two questions. You mentioned member checking and reflexivity. Can you explain how you practically applied this? And the second question being the analysis. How did you approach the data analysis? Was it inductive or deductive? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. So for the data analysis, we use the thematic analysis, where we followed the 5 steps, which is familiarizing ourselves with the data, going through all the transcript, and also generating the codes, going through the data, marking words and phrases that stood out on our findings, searching for themes, reviewing the themes, and also defining and naming the themes. And this was done manually. Oh, so for the member checking question, so during our interviews, when we ask the participants a question and then they answer, we'll just rephrase what they said to check if the information that we captured was the information that they were saying. Yeah.
Can we have just under a minute for a bonus question? I don't know if there's a bonus question. Dr. Ndaba, please go ahead.
Guys, I'm interested in how you recruited the informal traders, and then can you justify how sub-theme 4 fits in under environment? I think you said it's aspirations or something. How does that fit under your environment theme?
Sorry, can you please repeat the question again?
I think just the recruitment process, how did you recruit them, and then the sub-theme 4.
For the recruitment process, we did try to incorporate the stakeholders in the community to get community entry, but that was very difficult, so we ended up going in there to the community ourselves and finding the participants in order for us to conduct the interviews for the research. And then for theme 4, the economic survival and inspirations, a lot of the participants' challenges arose from the environment, like the space, working space. So it was not inspiring them much to continue with their business. And so the aspirations was the fact that it rises from that they want to work in a better place, like quality place, an area, the environment. That's number one, going to attract a lot of customers for them. That's going to be survival for them as well as business owners.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So while our examiners busy, I'm going to call the next group to come and set up. Are we ready? So the next group is coming to talk to us about economics and public hospitals. This is Nsele, Mbata, Kumalo, Jabraj, and Prange. Examiners, are we ready? Okay. Timekeeper, are we fine? Good luck, students.
Good morning, everyone. Our study is a qualitative study with the topic of the understanding and the application of economics by occupational therapists at a public hospital in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Introduction. Occupational therapy is a health profession that uses therapeutic activities to help people engage in meaningful occupation. OT practitioners work in different settings. However, physical work can be very demanding, and musculoskeletal disorders are very common risk factors in the workplace, often due to repetitive movement, awkward postures, prolonged position. Economics plays a very crucial role in injury prevention. So this highlights the importance of conducting the study to understand how OT apply economics in practice. The problem statement. Despite the growing recognition of economics in healthcare, there's limited research on how OT apply and understand these principles in their practice, particularly in public hospitals in KZN, South Africa. While some studies have explored the general risk factors for work-related injuries in the healthcare, few have focused on specific economic challenges faced by OT in a diverse clinical settings. This lack of focus may contribute to inadequate implementation of economic principles, increasing the risk of injuries and compromising to workplace safety. The research aim for our study is to explore the OT's understanding and application of economics in KZN public hospitals. The objectives are as follows. To explore the perspective of economic principles used by OTs within their practice, to explore how occupational therapists apply economic principles during the therapy to reduce injuries, and the last one is to explore the risks that could arise from the lack of understanding and application of economic principles by OTs. Methodology. The research design will use a qualitative, explorative, descriptive approach which focused on the purposive and the non-probability sampling. The inclusion criteria included the qualified OTs with the 3+ years experience of working in a physical rehab. Exclusion criteria included the OTs with the less than 3 years experience, and then OTs in academia, mental health, and social and school-based OTs. We did a pilot study with the 3 OTs, so we kept all the questions as they are. We also kept using the Zoom platform instead of Teams, and then we also increased the flexibility in scheduling and adapt the researchers' availability to participants. With the data collection, we recruited the OTs through emailing the chief OTs from the approved hospital with the relevant documents, requesting the participation from them and OTs within their department who met the inclusion criteria. We did a semi-structured and in-depth interview via Zoom, which lasted for like 20 to 30 minutes. We also audio recorded these meetings. With the data analysis, we used the thematic analysis approach to identify the key patterns and themes using the inductive reasoning. The transcript codes, sub-themes to theme were emerged, and then were used, and then we had 3 themes which emerged from these findings. The participants in the study settings, we obtained the approval from 3 hospitals, which is Manguzi, Prince Mshini, and Gwelezan. We had 8 OTs who were female with the working experience of 6 to 25 years working in a physical rehab. The trustworthiness. We ensured the credibility through the prolonged engagement with the participant during the interviews and the follow-up discussions. We did member checking and briefing. The transferability we ensured through the use of the thick description of participants, setting contextual factors, enable the readers to determine the applicability of the findings to other OT contexts beyond the KZN. The dependability and confiability were assured through the audit trial. The ethical consideration, we had a proper process of getting an approval from the KZN Department of Health, gatekeepers from the 3 hospitals we used, and then the BRAC's approval. The informed consent, autonomy, justice, beneficent, veracity, and confidential were also ensured. These are the 3 themes that emerged from our findings and also the subset theme.
Theme 1, Understanding of Ergonomic Principles. Sub-theme 1, participants emphasized ergonomics as a means of protecting their own bodies during clinical practice. Participant 1 stated,
Ergonomics relates to looking after your health, protecting your joints, structuring the environment to protect yourself from injuries.
Sub-theme 2, participants recognized ergonomics as a crucial for preventing injuries and management fatigue, especially during repetitive tasks. Participant 3 stated,
Ergonomics is ensuring we can work safely while protecting ourselves from strain and fatigue.
Sub-theme 3, participants highlighted how body positioning and environment setup influence safe practice and efficiency. Participant 4 stated,
It's ways in which people should position themselves to be able to work so that they cause less injury to themselves while performing their duties or any other activity.
Sub-theme 4, participants reviewed ergonomics as fundamental to rehabilitation, essential for both therapist well-being and patient care. Participant 5 stated,
Ergonomics is basically the fundamental of rehab, about being functional and comfortable in your work environment.
Sub-theme 5, participants highlighted that understanding ergonomics is not purely theoretical. It is applied in daily practice to promote efficiency, safety, and well-being. Participant 2 stated,
Work height, distance to travel between stations, looking at the efficacy of your work environment.
Occupational therapists demonstrate a strong theoretical grasp of ergonomics, applying it to both patient care and personal well-being. Theme 2, Practical Application of Ergonomics. Sub-theme 1, participants demonstrated that therapists consciously apply postural awareness to protect themselves while performing clinical tasks. Participant 2 stated,
In standing, you need to think about your back a lot more, and in seating, you need a chair that supports your back. It needs to be the right height, things need to be within reachable distance, whereas in standing, you have to look at the distance you have to cover and how much of it is overhead.
Sub-theme 2, participants illustrated how workplace setup and equipment adaptations are applied to reduce strain and enhance efficiency. Participant 3 stated,
Using a transfer board instead of lifting a patient reduces the strain on therapists. Adjustable plinths and tables are also very helpful as they minimize bending and awkward postures. Ideally, each session should start with adjusting the equipment to the correct height to avoid back strain.
Sub-theme 3, participants reflected that therapists actively modify tools and adopt adaptive strategies to reduce physical strain during patient handling. Participant 1 stated,
We try to make it easier. Sometimes we use a craft knife because we don't have a heat gun. We break it down the middle, the piece that we need, and then we try to break a smaller piece to prevent more strain on our hands and backs.
Sub-theme 4, participants showed that therapists employ both behavioral and environmental adjustment to protect themselves from fatigue and musculoskeletal injury. Participant 5 stated,
Most important is neutral posture. Avoid repetition of movements, adjustable workstations, avoid excessive force with patients.
Participants demonstrated a strong awareness of ergonomics, actively integrating proper body mechanics, adaptive tools, and workstation adjustments to prevent strain, enhance efficiency, and protect their own well-being during clinical practice. Theme 3, Risk of Poor Ergonomics and Barriers to Application. Sub-theme 1, participants illustrated how unsafe handling practices and patient care responsibilities increase the risk of musculoskeletal injury. Participant 6 stated,
Where you would do the transfer with 2 people, sometimes it's not possible. You end up doing it alone.
Sub-theme 2, participants reflected that a lack of understanding or attention to ergonomics directly impedes its application and places therapists at risk. Participant 8 stated,
If we had more training and practical applications, OTs could better implement these principles.
Sub-theme 3, participants highlighted how limited resources, inadequate equipment, and systemic budget constraints hinder the implementation of safe and effective ergonomic practices in a public healthcare setting. Participant 8 stated,
Government usually faces shortages, money, equipment. Ergonomics isn't always a top priority.
Participants highlighted that limited resources, inadequate equipment, and staffing constraints significantly hinder safe ergonomic practice, emphasizing the need for institutional support.
Moving on to our discussion, knowledge versus practice. Despite strong theoretical understanding, systemic barriers significantly restrict the full implementation of ergonomic principles, leading to an increased risk of musculoskeletal injuries among occupational therapists. Studies indicate that ergonomic education alone does not ensure behavior change. Another study by Iqbal in 2024 highlighted that while healthcare professionals possess good ergonomic awareness, practical application remains inconsistent. This explains why, despite understanding ergonomic principles, therapists in the study still experience strain and fatigue. Under systemic constraints, studies highlighted that limited ergonomic equipment, heavy workloads, and staff shortages in South African public healthcare contribute to a poor adherence to ergonomic practices. And another study by Moodley in 2020 further emphasized that resource constraints in KZN's public health facilities reduce efficiency and safety. As seen in this study, high patient loads and equipment shortages force unsafe practices. These systemic challenges explain why OT struggle to apply ergonomic principles consistently. And two further studies highlight that therapists develop creative solutions to reduce strain due to resource limitations. While another study also found that while therapists develop self-protective habits, the absence of structured ergonomic programs limits long-term sustainability. This demonstrates that while therapists adapt, systemic change is essential for lasting ergonomic safety.
Study limitations. We focused on 3 public hospitals in KwaZulu-Natal. Findings provided context-specific insights rather than broad generalization. Our study had only females, therefore the findings do not represent the experiences of ergonomic practices of male OTs, and we excluded private sector OTs. Future studies should include comparative analysis. Scheduling or workload challenges were mitigated through flexible virtual interviews. Conclusion. OTs practicing in KZN public hospitals demonstrated a strong theoretical knowledge of ergonomics, but faced significant challenges in consistently applying these principles due to systemic barriers such as limited resources, inadequate equipment, and high workloads. These constraints contribute to increased musculoskeletal strain and reduced workplace safety. Therapists adapt through creativity and teamwork, but long-term solutions require institutional and policy support. Strengthening ergonomic awareness and integrating ergonomics into undergraduate training and workplace culture will enhance therapists' well-being and improve patient care quality. Recommendation: strengthening ergonomic education. To integrate theoretical knowledge with practical application in undergraduate programs, include hands-on training in patient transfers, workstation design, and adaptive equipment. Improving resource allocation, allocate dedicated funding for essential ergonomic equipment like adjustable plinths. Implement low-cost solutions in resource-limited settings like educational posters. Future research directions, conduct comparative studies between public and private sector based on the assumption that private sector OT practitioners have access to greater resources. Include both genders would provide a more balanced understanding of injury risk and comparative analysis. Promoting institutional awareness and culture of safety.
Thank you very much, guys. Examiners, are we ready? Some questions? Okay, whenever you're ready, you may start.
Thank you very much for this very informative research. Maybe just some questions just on how did you choose the 3 hospitals? What was your rationale for choosing those particular 3 hospitals? Will it change your credibility or your transferability if you look at the different types of hospitals we have in KZN? So you looked at some rural hospitals, Gwelazan, Manguzi, and I think Prince Masheni. Will it change? So I wonder if you could just look at that and then just comment on your transferability and credibility of your research.
For the hospitals that we choose in KZN, the 3 that we got, so we have plans to have more of the hospitals than we planned to have 6, and then because of the approval from the hospitals, they delayed approval, and then we got the approval from the 3 hospitals that we have, and the other reason is for the TCT. So our 4th-year OTs, they go to this hospital for TCT, so it's to ensure the communication with the therapist in practice.
Okay, and then with the part of the transferability and we didn't think it's going to change of any findings because of how the limitations of having the limited resources, and also they know about the economics, but it's a matter of them applying due to the resources and then the funds of the hospital. So it's not going to affect our trustworthiness.
Thank you. You mentioned that we should do something in curriculum, but I think time was flying. Specifically, practically, what should we do with these people right now? So that few years down the line, they are not in the same boat.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. The other thing that we had on our recommendations, we suggested that from the interviews that we conducted, the other suggestions that arose were the peer learning and to conduct regular in-depth training and awareness programs for the healthcare staff, and to foster coordination between the occupational therapist, health and safety officers, and everyone in the hospitals to raise awareness on the importance of economics and to prevent the musculoskeletal disorders.
Thank you. Last question from me. I think you had a demographic profile of 25 and 50 something.
Yes.
Sorry. 6 to 25 years. Was there a difference in terms of the experience and explanation between those who are new in the profession and those who have many years in the profession?
Thank you for the question. So in terms of the of that, it didn't affect much of the findings because what we got was that they all have understanding in terms of the economics, especially taking into consideration the years that they've been taking into practice. The only limitation was that they tend to not apply it because of the resource limitations and the more workload on because of staff shortage.
And we believe that occupational therapists with 6-year experience, they have many alternatives, unlike the first year occupational therapist in the practice.
And we did reach data saturation with the participants that we had in the study, so our findings did not change even with the different years of work experience.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. You are released.
The hot seats.
Okay, so while our examiners are busy, I'm going to call the next group to the stage. They are going to talk to us about AI between OT students. Okay, so they're going to talk to us about AI between physio and OT. So this is Nzima, Kasim, Mtembu, Ngubani, and Gina. Please come this way.
And then we move up to that side. And we put the timer on.
Examiners, are we ready? We ready with the timer? Students, good luck.
Good day to the floor at large. Today we'll be presenting our quantitative research titled The Use of AI Applications in Academic Occupations Amongst Physiotherapy and Occupational Therapy Students at UKZN. Artificial intelligence is reshaping both education and healthcare by driving innovation, precision, and accessibility in ways we learn and work. In higher education, tools such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and DeepSeek are increasingly used to support research, academic writing, and clinical reasoning exercises. Within health sciences, AI offers opportunities for personalized learning, critical thinking, and enhanced clinical practice through applications like virtual simulations, diagnostic tools, and data analytics. However, it also raises important questions around ethics, accuracy, and academic integrity. In South Africa, AI adoption in health science education is growing, yet integration remains inconsistent due to disparities in access, lack of digital literacy, and ethical considerations. Our study explored the perceptions and experiences of occupational therapy and physiotherapy students at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, focusing on how AI is being used and how it can be effectively incorporated into higher education. Our problem statement. There are limited studies on how AI affects health science students in South African HEIs. These students face challenges balancing academics and practical training, and it's unclear if AI supports or hinders their learning and productivity. Understanding these effects is crucial to providing evidence-based guidance for responsible and effective use of AI in health science education. Our research question: what are the experiences of AI and usage of AI and applications in academic occupations among PT and OT health science students at UKZN? Our objectives. The first was to assess students' perceptions of AI's usefulness, reliability, and relevance in academics. Our second was to determine how often and in what ways students use AI for academic tasks. And our third was to identify factors influencing students' adoption of AI, such as literacy and support. Lastly, exploring the benefits and challenges of students' experience when using AI. Our aim was to explore the health science students' perceptions, usage, benefits, and challenges of AI applications in their academic pursuits. For our methodology, our study is a quantitative cross-sectional study describing experiences and usage of AI in academic occupations among occupational therapy and physiotherapy students at UKZN in the form of a survey. For our sampling, we used purposive sampling of 117 OT and 160 PT students, targeting a 50% participation rate due to expected online participation challenges. Our participants included second to fourth year registered students in 2025. Our exclusion criteria excluded first years, unregistered students, and students from other disciplines. Our data collection was done through online Google Forms, surveys informed by literature. It included consent, demographics, and closed-ended questions on AI applications, challenges, benefits, and support needs. Our question format were binary and 5-point Likert scales, ensuring anonymity and confidentiality in accordance with approved gatekeeper permissions. Our pilot study was conducted with 23 students to test reliability and validity, and 3 redundant questions were removed after review with a biased statistician to improve face validity. Our data analysis was done via SPS version 30. For frequencies, percentages, means, medians, and modes were used to summarize demographics and categorical variables. For inferential, Shapiro-Wilk was used to describe normality, Kruskal-Willis and Mann-Whitney-U for group differences, and Spearman's Rho was used to describe correlations. For ethical considerations, we got approval from SHREC and the UKZN registrar for gatekeeper applications. We adhered to ethical participation's principles of respect, beneficence, confidentiality, and justice, ensuring informed consent and voluntary participation.
Our results for gender and discipline distribution, for females and males, it was at 83.6% and 16.4% for males. And then discipline distribution was 50.8% of OT students and 49.2% of physiotherapy students. We had a total of 128 students. So for the demographic profile of participants, it was a majority of female with an average age of 21 years, ranging from 19 to 32 years. It was a balanced representation across years and disciplines, and it was predominantly young female student population. Figure 4 shows the students' years of study, and then figure 5 shows the average age distribution. So for our perceptions towards AI integration, overall there was positive perceptions with a median of 12 and interquartile range of 8 to 15. There were no significant differences in perception by gender, year, or discipline with a p-value that is greater than 0.05. And then students viewed AI as useful for learning and professional preparation. And figure 5 shows the box whisker plot showing students' perception towards AI integration. And then for frequency of AI use, knowledge, and practice score, most students use AI often with 57%, and mainly ChatGPT, which was 93% of the population. Moderate knowledge, they showed moderate knowledge of AI concepts with a median of 8, and moderate practice with AI tools with a median of 16. And practice scores are higher with frequent use and in higher academic years with a p-value less than 0.05. And this suggests a need for structured AI training within the curriculum to strengthen both theoretical understanding and practical application. With results concerning factors influencing AI adoption and perceived benefits, female students scored higher in knowledge with P equaling 0.006. There are positive correlations between knowledge and practice with R values of 0.345 and practice and perception with an R value of 0.560. So benefits perceived was that it's time-saving, improves access to learning, and supports writing and research. And then challenges was that there's reliability concerns, plagiarism risk, limited institutional supports. And in summary, these findings form the basis of our discussion on the implications of AI integration in health science education. So our key insight is that most UKZN health science students show a fair understanding and positive perception of AI. ChatGPT was the most used tool, similar to global trends, valued for its efficiency and quick feedback, but there are concerns about accuracy and plagiarism. It's used with increased year level as senior students face greater workloads and complexities, and there's positive links between knowledge, perception, practice, which reflect constructivist and social learning theories that students learn through experience and peer observations. So AI is being used as a practical academic support, enhancing efficiency and independent learning while challenging educators to promote ethical and critical engagement. So recommendations is to introduce AI literacy models that strengthen critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and professional responsibility, to embed experiential learning, opportunities such as guided simulations and supervised AI use to develop hands-on competence, and to develop institutional policies and staff training to guide responsible and transparent use of AI across disciplines. To address the digital access inequalities in South Africa, we must provide reliable connectivity and digital resources, offer device access and digital skills programs, and ensure AI integration does not widen existing inequalities. From an occupational justice perspective, there must be equitable access to AI tools, which is vital for inclusive participation in higher education and ethical evolution of health science training. In conclusion, students are already engaging with AI, so higher education institutions must now channel this readiness into ethical, context-sensitive, and just integration to prepare future practitioners for a digitally transformed healthcare system. In conclusion, UKZN health science students show positive perceptions of AI and use it regularly in academics. ChatGPT is the most widely used and preferred tool, and students value AI for its efficiency, learning support, but remain aware of the risks like misinformation and plagiarism. Findings highlight the need for formal AI education to strengthen knowledge, ethics, and responsible use, and embedding AI literacy and equitable digital access in curricula can enhance critical thinking, ethical awareness, and professional readiness in future healthcare workers. Some limitations of our studies included there's only certain AI tools were used, excluding newer and less common ones. There was a limited sample size and restricted year groups, which reduced our diversity of perspectives. There were time constraints affecting data depths, and there was focus on popular AI tools, which limited our generalizability. And there was self-reported data, which may have introduced bias or overestimated skills. And there was a cross-sectional design, which prevents establishing causal relationships. So recommendations for future research would be to include a broader range of AI tools and user experiences, using qualitative, longitudinal, or mixed method designs to explore AI's long-term impact on students' clinical reasoning and professional development, exploring the gender and usage disparities in AI engagement, and investigating long-term effects of AI literacy interventions on learning and professional development. Universities should aim to balance innovation with responsibility, ensuring students gain critical and ethical skills needed for healthcare roles. So, and to address study limitations by expanding research to other disciplines and institutions for broader insights. And with that, we thank you for your attention.
Thank you, students. Examiners, are we ready with questions?
Thank
Whenever
you.
you're ready.
I think you got everyone's attention. So I'll be short so that I allow the students to ask questions, because I believe they are coming. I want to believe that you got your statistical significance for both physio and OT. What's your comment about the years, different year range?
Sorry, can you repeat the last parts? What's the comments on?
About the different years. You have second, third, and fourth. in terms of statistical significance.
So, from statistical significance, we saw that the higher the level, so higher levels like third and fourth year, they have greater academic demands and academic complexities, which then would prompt them to use AI, which gives them better skill and better practice with AI. So the statistical significance was shown with p-values and r-values as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'd also just like to comment on or ask a question on that. You talked about health science students, and then there was also a skew between male and female. Would you change your sample in your purposeful sample in any way when you talk about health science, or would you stick to occupational therapy and physiotherapy, considering it's a female-dominated profession?
Okay, thank you for your question. So, the study focused on the OTs and physio due to the similar curriculum. So that's why we didn't branch to different disciplines or other courses. Yeah, thank you.
Is that all? We have 2 more minutes.
I would love students to ask questions on this one.
Okay.
Specifically.
All right. Yes. Ooh. So it's gonna be 1, 2. Straight to the point, please. Just scream.
Yeah. So you guys, I saw like during the middle of your presentation, but I'm gonna focus on the recommendations. But you mentioned mostly gender, and you recommend that if I caught correctly, that you said there should be gender-related study in terms of the use of AI. So how is that gonna, like, how do you think there is a link between the study that you conducted now and also? Okay, so thank you. So how do you think there's going to be a link in terms of the study that you conducted now and the recommendation that, you recommended for the future researchers?
Thank you so much for your question. So circling back to what Ms. Chetty was saying, that physio and OT are such female-dominated spaces. So therefore, there is a need to understand the whole, considering male and not just female. So our results also indicated that it was mainly a female student population. So because of that, it's important for the future to also consider the males and the gender, all genders included.
Greetings. My question is around just like a little background a bit. You see that UJ has an Institute for AI Intelligence. You see that UCT has started to integrate a university-wide framework for AI, which is deeply embedded in their institution now. You see that UWC is also pioneering in that matter. You see that UP also is leading in AI research, right? And we also, from your research, it's evident that AI is being utilized by students, and it is a need, and also one of the resources that we utilize to find that balance basically when it comes to schoolwork, right? My question is then surrounded, Uguti, what can UKZN do, right? What is the directive that UKZN can take, or the stance that it can take in regards to integrating AI into the institution, given that it is the future?
So thank you for the question. So to ensure this, we have recommended that the institution can include AI literacy guidelines, and also to include modules that will cater for all of these ethical concerns that were raised.
You're leaving your cell phone. Thank you very much. Our examiners are still busy there. So this is going to be the last presentation from the students. So I'm going to call our last group. So this is, well, they'll be focusing on public health, bridging the gap between curriculum and practice. This is Marcus, Matima, and Vanker. Okay, so who's going first? Examiners, are we ready? Timekeeper. Okay, students, good luck.
Okay. Good morning. The title of our study is Occupational Therapy Students' Perceptions of Primary Healthcare in KwaZulu-Natal, Bridging the Gap Between Theory and Practice. South Africa's public healthcare system is divided into tertiary, secondary, district, and primary healthcare, or PHC levels, with PHC serving as the first point of contact for 86% of the population. This makes it essential for occupational therapists to be well prepared for PHC service delivery that emphasizes community-based rehabilitation, health promotion, and disease prevention. However, occupational therapy at UKZN, in South Africa, particularly at UKZN, has traditionally focused on hospital-based rehabilitation, offering limited exposure to PHC contexts. Students typically encounter practice and PHC placements only in their final year during one fieldwork block, which may limit their readiness for compulsory community service in under-resourced PHC settings. Our research question is thus, how do UKZN occupational therapy students perceive PHC and their readiness to deliver community-based occupational therapy services in South Africa? Our objectives were to explore students' understanding of PHC, to identify curriculum gaps affecting preparedness for PHC service delivery, and to highlight factors that support effective occupational therapy practiced in PHC settings. Ultimately, the findings aim to inform curriculum enhancements that strengthen occupational therapy's role in achieving national healthcare priorities and improve community health outcomes. An explorative, qualitative study design was used to gain an in-depth understanding of students' perceptions and the contextual factors that shape their readiness for working in PHC settings. The context was a UKZN OT program, the only OT training facility in KZN, and completed over 4 years. Our sampling method included a homogeneous purposive sample where 19 participants were recruited out of 61 eligible students. Inclusion criteria included being currently enrolled in the 3rd or 4th year OT program at UKZN, a minimum experience of at least 2 fieldwork blocks completed, willingness to participate in the study, and the ability to provide informed consent. Exclusion criteria includes not having yet been exposed to PHC theory or practice, and having not yet completed 2 fieldwork blocks. Our data was collected through 5 structured group interviews, around 40 minutes each. These were conducted via Zoom or face-to-face by the 3 researchers, followed by team discussions and peer debriefing. A pilot study was conducted beforehand to refine interview questions for clarity and depth, and questions explored students' perceptions of PHC and application of theory to practice. Inductive thematic analysis with reference to Bourne and Clark's 6-step method was used, as well as independent coding by 3 researchers. This ensured trustworthiness, including reflexivity and credibility in the interpretation of themes. We obtained ethical approval and gatekeeper permission from UKZN. Audio recordings were deleted once transcribed, and all files were stored in a password-protected Google Drive in accordance with the POPI Act. All participants were provided written informed consent, and were informed on their right to withdraw at any time of the study. The data will also be securely retained for 5 years before being permanently deleted to ensure confidentiality, pseudonyms were used, and the study also followed ethical principles throughout. To ensure trustworthiness, credibility was achieved through researcher triangulation and member checking, dependability through a detailed audit trail that was maintained, confirmability through findings grounded in verbatim data and reflexive team discussions, and transferability in thick descriptions provided for contextual relevance. In our results in the participant profile, we found that we had 9 third-year and 10 fourth-year participants. 3 main themes emerged from our data analysis with corresponding sub-themes. Theme 1, understanding and purpose of primary healthcare. Theme 2, students' experiences with primary healthcare curriculum. And Theme 3, students' preparedness for future practice in primary healthcare settings.
Theme 1, Sub-Theme 1, understanding of primary healthcare. Students generally viewed primary healthcare as the first point of contact for healthcare, focusing on prevention, health promotion, and accessible services close to communities. However, these reflected basic awareness but limited depth in terms of PHC's broader community-driven purpose.
PHC means healthcare that is accessible and close to people's homes. It's the first step in the healthcare system to do with prevention and basic healthcare.
Sub-theme 2, awareness of PHC policies and programs. Students demonstrated a general awareness of PHC-related policies such as the National Health Insurance, Barthopele Principles, and the Alma Ata Declaration. However, their understanding appeared limited and not applied. Many participants had encountered these concepts through external sources.
Yes, I heard about it on the news, referring to the NHR.
Sub-theme 3, perspectives on the role of OT in primary healthcare. PHC versus hospital-based practice. Students viewed PHC as a dynamic, community-driven approach to occupational therapy that emphasizes prevention, collaboration, and contextual understanding of individual clients' real-life environments.
In hospital, it's more about treating the condition. In PHC, you're more involved long-term.
Theme 2, Sub-Theme 2, PHC with Sub-Theme 1, PHC within the curriculum. Students described how they were introduced to PHC principles through lectures and limited coursework, but expressed that practical experience in PHC settings played a more significant role in shaping their confidence and ability to apply PHC concepts in clinical practice.
If we didn't get put into a PHC setting, we wouldn't know what's going on.
Sub-theme 2, perceived gaps in the curriculum. Students highlighted insufficient exposure and theory-practice disconnect. While they were taught the theory of PHC, students reported that lectures often failed to link this knowledge to clinical application or to clarify the OT role in primary healthcare, leaving them feeling uncertain about their readiness for practice.
We've learned the what of primary healthcare, but not the how.
Sub-theme 3, recommendations for PHC within the curriculum. Students made several recommendations for improving PHC learning within the OT curriculum, emphasizing the need for earlier, ongoing, and more practical exposure to community-based contexts. They call for more PHC-focused lectures, peer learning opportunities, and practice sessions that simulate real-world conditions, including team-based work and making assistive devices.
More lectures on PHC and talk to us as if we don't know anything about it. More placements needed earlier, before 4th year.
In Theme 3, Sub-Theme 1, Anxiety, students expressed experiencing heightened anxiety and uncertainty about entering primary healthcare practice after graduation, which stemmed from their perceived lack of exposure to real-world PHC environments during training, and their doubts about meeting the demands of under-resourced settings.
Honestly, it makes me feel anxious. I feel like I'll be thrown into the deep end during community block and after graduation, and I'm not sure I'll know what to do.
Sub-theme 2, Emerging Competence. Despite initial anxiety, certain students also reported a sense of emerging competence as they gained more fieldwork experience and described how practical learning opportunities, mentorship, and peer collaboration increased their confidence in delivering PHC services.
During the first weeks, we weren't really competent because it was like, we don't know what we're doing. But towards the end of the 8 weeks, we're like, we're seeing the work that we've done.
Our study found that most occupational therapy students understood that OT contributes to prevention, health promotion, and occupational participation. However, many still view the profession mainly through a hospital or rehabilitative lens, which often reflects the curative bias seen in traditional OT practice. There was also uncertainty and limited recognitions of OT's broader community-orientated role within PHC, which is similar to what Naidu et al. Found in their study. Students who had community placement experience showed a much better understanding of PHC and felt more confident in applying it in practice. This highlights that practical exposure and not only theory is essential for competence in PHC practice.
As South Africa continues to move towards the NHI and PHC re-engineering, there's an urgent need for OT education to align with national policy directions. Limited exposure to PHC continues to cause uncertainty and reinforces hospital-centric orientations. This pattern highlights the need for curriculum reform that bridges theoretical learning and applied practice, linking PHC principles, policy frameworks, and occupational therapy competencies within real community context to better prepare graduates for PhD work. Knowledge of health policy is essential for ensuring contextually relevant and equitable service provision. The lack of this knowledge becomes a barrier to effective participation in PhD. By embedding these experiences early in training, students can develop professional reason and adaptability, both which are key for responsive, contextually appropriate service delivery and aligns with the goals of both the World Health Organization and South Africa's PHC agenda. In short, theory, community practice, and policy integration together create a competent OT graduate. In summary, OT students have a basic theoretical understanding of PHC but limited application. Those who had community exposure demonstrated stronger applied understanding and confidence. And overall, a clear gap remains between university training and the real-world practice of PHC, showing that OT curriculum needs to evolve to better prepare students for PHC-focused service delivery in South Africa. Based on our findings, we recommend the following steps to strengthen PHC training for OT students. Firstly, integrate PHC policy content such as the NHI and PHC re-engineering into the OT curriculums. Provide longer and more structured PHC placement to help students build confidence and competence. Promote advocacy, collaboration, and communication skills for MDT teamwork during fieldwork. Incorporate case-based examples and community projects that connects theory to practice. And lastly, emphasize understanding of the social determinants of health, population-level approaches, and participatory community development. Some of our limitation for this study was that it was conducted at only one university, so the findings can't be generalized to all OT programs. Participation was voluntary, which may have introduced bias, and group settings may have limited how openly students share their views. And for future research, we suggest including other universities to compare PhD preparedness on a national level and also adding educators and supervisors' perspectives. It would also be helpful to explore how longer PhD placements... Oh, thank you. Thank you for your attention and those who participated.
Thank you for the music. Examiners, are we ready with questions? So whenever you're ready, we have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks. Can you guys tell us more about your triangulation in your trustworthiness? Practically, how did you do that?
Thank you for your question, Dr. Mpanza. We ensured triangulation in our study by ensuring that each, because the coding was done by the researchers independently, afterwards we had peer debriefing as well as discussions with us, either informally in WhatsApp as well as in person when we had the data and the audit trial in front of us with all of the data and the coding and the themes. And then once we had done that, we had then looked at each other's coding and the themes to ensure that what this person has interpreted this code as saying has been matched and is agreeable between all of us. So the triangulation occurred in each member cross-referencing and checking through every single one of the interpreted themes and just ensuring that we had that thorough conclusion of what each theme or category, or even the code that was used. Sometimes codes were not emphasized that were very important, so we took them out. There were some themes that were also reduced, so the triangulation was seen through that, I believe, yes.
Thank you very much. A well-needed research topic. I just want to find out, your research would have been focused by students that are in and around this area. Where was your focus group, the 3rd and 4th years, part of the GCT group that went out to different areas of KZN, or just focused within the districts around the university? And then my second question is, if you had to expand this research and include other people, who would that be, and how would it perhaps change?
Okay. Thank you so much. To answer the first part of your question, what was the first part of the question? yes, sorry, just reminding me about the question. So for the DCT students, this was occurring throughout the year. Once we had finalized our conducting the research, most of the fourth years I think had already completed or were within their DCT placements, but not all the DCT placements were including primary healthcare placements. Some of them were also at tertiary level hospitals like KwaZulu-Natal and districts as well. So for the community placements though, we have found in our results that all the fourth year participants who were in our study had completed their community fieldwork block or were in that community block at that time. So they were all exposed to primary healthcare in that year, yes. And it was local between the fourth and third years in this class, yes.
And to expand our study, we would expand our study by including educators, because that would help provide a more broader perspective of like the curriculum gaps, and also provide knowledge of as to like why these gaps exist and the challenges that the educators do face, making them not being able to fully like integrate PHC learning with the students. So it'll help provide a more like deeper understanding of the curriculum and gaps.
Sorry, just to also expand that, we had originally, for our research proposal, was originally proposed to include OT students and educators' perceptions of the concept of primary healthcare. However, due to obtaining ethics late, we decided to reduce our study and only focus on students, which actually worked in a benefit to this in a way and enhanced the significance of what students perceive, because we really got to give a lot of depth and detail in that in our actual manuscript.
So we have a minute for a bonus question. Yeah, please just press the button there. Remember, we're live.
Yes, hello. Are we still live? Okay. So I just wanted to ask, in terms of working in having been placed and completed your community block at the PHC placement, how would you say are the outcomes of your interventions and assessments with your patients in terms of working with EPWPs and community-based rehabilitators? How would you say the outcomes of your interventions were? Thank you.
Sorry, and just to clarify, you're asking the effectiveness of our interventions and treatments at primary healthcare in community block?
In community compared to rehab.
Oh, yes,
yes.
okay. Reflexive, anyone can answer. Do you want to answer? Do you have an answer? Would you like to answer this one? Okay. Yeah. I think this was something that did also come up in our study with one of the participants in fourth year's answer, where she said that in community you kind of get to see a more, like I think it was mentioned as well, the context inclusion of the impacts of OT more realistically as opposed to in district hospital or remedial hospital based. So I think that was the main thing. However, the outcomes of themselves and the actual treatments were conducted the same way in hospital as well as in communities. So in that regard, it would be the same, but obviously what you get to see and your adaptability is far greater in community from our experience.
You also, I think also when you're in community, you learn more how to work in a like community with like limited resources, as in like when you're in hospital, you do have resources, even though it's not a lot, but then compared to community, you learn more how to think creatively and, as Shade said, be adaptive.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is the last marked group or last marked segment. So we are going to move to the next segment. But before we do that, I think we should give the fourth year class another round of applause, please. So thank you very much, guys. I hope the third years are watching, are taking some tips. I hope you are improving your own proposals for next year, right? So clearly, from your third year to now, we've seen some growth. It goes beyond the looks and the attires that you guys brought to the stage. I think you've spoken enough about dissemination, and I've seen that your supervisors are here as well. So we are going to strengthen those submissions and make sure that we publish them so that this group next year when they come to fourth year, they reference your work, you guys. Remember, we are global citizens. Thank you, Dr. Mpanza, for this nice phrase. And yeah, so now there's a little tribute, nice tribute from the OT3 class. So I'm going to call to the stage Siroka and Devnarene. So ladies, there's no presentation, right?
No, there's no presentation. It's just
Can I just display this? Is that okay? This is for the content. So you guys have a. Timekeeper.
Good morning, everyone, distinguished lecturers, proud supervisors, and most importantly, the stars of today, the Occupational Therapy Department of class of 2025. Wow, Research Day. The finish line is in sight, and so are exams, unfortunately. But today we pause to celebrate how far you have come. You have journeyed from learning about frames of references and SOAP notes to actually framing your own research and making sense of data that refuse to make sense at 2 a.m. Let's be honest, every OT student knows that research is the ultimate activity analysis. You planned, you graded your interventions, so did your caffeine intake, you adapted, and somehow you made it functional. You see, research is not just an academic requirement, it is an act of service, saying our communities matter, our health realities matter. Every questionnaire, every interview, every long night analyzing results, all of it is a step towards an Africa where healthcare is informed by our context, our languages, and our people. Africa needs research. Africa needs our research, UKZN, because only we can tell our stories from the lens of our lived experiences, not through borrowed frames of works, not through ones rooted, but through ones rooted in Ubuntu, resilience, and resourcefulness. The great professor once said, Africa will not rise because others speak for her, but when Africans speak for themselves. Today we celebrate not only your projects, but the impact they carry. Each of your studies adds a piece to a growing puzzle of profession, whether it is improving community-based practice, addressing healthcare inequities, and addressing rehabilitation methods. Your work matters. You're not only students anymore, but you are contributors to the future occupational therapy of South Africa. As the book of Galatians 6 verse 9 says, let us not grow weary in our doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. As you head into your exams, remember what Nelson Mandela once said, it always seems impossible until it is done. Soon you'll be occupational therapist, no longer an occupational therapy student. Can you believe it? Trust your training, know that you are capable, competent, compassionate, and you are equipped to be an occupational therapist in South Africa. Let us also remember to laugh, because if we don't, we will cry at the end of the day. Class of 2025, as you are stepping into the field that is about hope, healing, and about human connection, you have already shown that you can critically work ethically and advocate fiercely. So go out there and occupy with purpose fully, being confident of this, that he who has begun a good work in you will carry it on to completion. May your next chapter be filled with growth, grace, and good practice. Congratulations, researchers. Good luck with your exams, and may your results be higher than your ethics score.
On behalf of the OT3 class, we'd like to take this moment to congratulate the OT4 on reaching the OT4 class on reaching this incredible milestone in your journey as future occupational therapists, not for long. Today has truly been a celebration of all your hard work, dedication, and passion for your profession. As we listened to your research presentations, we were inspired by the depth of thought, creativity, and commitment that each of you have brought to your topics. The issues you explored are not only relevant, but deeply impactful, addressing real-world challenges faced by individuals, families, and South African communities. From advancing clinical practices to promoting inclusivity and accessibility, your research projects reflect the true essence of occupational therapy, enabling participation and improving the quality of life for all. Your research has demonstrated how evidence-based practice can both be innovative and compassionate. It was exciting to see how each of you approached complex topics with critical insight, whether it was exploring new assessment tools, advocating for marginalized groups, or reimagining rehabilitation strategies. The passion behind your work reminded us why we chose this field, to bring meaningful change one occupation at a time. As the OT3 class, we look up to you not only as colleagues, but as mentors who have paved the way for us. You've shown us what perseverance looks like, especially through the long hours of data collection, analysis, and writing. More importantly, you have shown us that research isn't just about results. It's about curiosity, reflection, and a deep sense of purpose. As you move forward into your professional journeys, we know you'll continue to make an impact wherever you go, whether it's in a hospital, school, community, or research. Your knowledge and compassion will continue to transform lives. We wish you every success and hope you carry the same enthusiasm and heart you showed today in your future practice. Congratulations once again, OT4s. Can we please have a round of applause? You've inspired us more than you will know. May the next chapter bring growth, fulfillment, and endless opportunity to the lives, opportunities to live out the values of occupational therapy. Thank you and well done.
And last but not least, to the fourth years, you stood on business for 4 years. Now stand on business in the healthcare industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the attributes. We are now going to call to the stage Dr. Christopher. She's going to do a presentation on research exhibition. Are you ready? Let's welcome her, guys.
I think it's still good morning. Good morning, everyone. So when Ms. Chetty and Dr. Mpanza opened up today, they talked about the value of research, seeing that your research will make a difference. So did, incredibly, the third-year speakers that were just up here, committing our OT students to being of value in our society. So when you walked in this morning, you were invited to take part in a photo voice exhibition, both as an outcome of research, my PhD research, but as well as an ongoing research project. So I'm quite humbled to have you participate in it as an audience, as a future participant in the same project, if you're a third year entering into fourth year, and to thank the fourth year students that participated in it. So an outcome is a really important thing to think about. What do we take from it? So this research dissemination about a concept called unbecoming is really important to our corpus, to our body of work that OT at UKZN is positioning itself as. It's positioning itself not only for the local context, which is our all-important driver, but also on the global stage. What are we speaking back to Northern Hemisphere dialogues? And so I would like to present this concept of unbecoming. So if we think about it, and we all know this, health is everything. It's about our well-being, and for us in emerging economies or in the majority world, it is about social transformation. And for people like me, for scholars like me, it's about social justice more than occupational justice. If we think about the global realities of people in Inanda, of Sikaule, Kenville, of Cato Crest, of Marion Ridge, just some of the places that the fourth years practice in at a community level, a lot of our theorizing doesn't seem to support those people. And hence, we say that our learnings need to be disrupted to include our understanding of what we need to work in those conditions. If we look at OT and include occupational science, then there are dominant discourses that very often as students and academics we throw around. One of those concepts comes from the famous Wilcox. And if you guys go with me, it's about doing, being, becoming, and then they later added belonging. You guys know this concept? Part of this concept means that we're on this kind of understanding, a social construct, saying we will meet people as OTs, as occupational scientists, that are in some kind of trouble. Even if they don't realize it, context is oppressing them. And when we meet them, we have to steer them onto the road of, wait for it, doing, being, becoming, and belonging in healthier ways. You guys with me? That's what you guys tell us in your case presentations. And I say that that's part of a social construct that is oppressing, continuing to oppress us, our own imaginations, but more importantly, the imaginations of our people here in South Africa, for example, but actually people all over. So come to this concept of unbecoming. I think from my research came up with a concept, right? So I'm saying now, as that researcher, that this is important. If we continue to think about just patching up, triaging the wounded, okay? Triaging victims and survivors of apartheid, for example. If we triage women who are constantly and every day marginalized in our society, and we send them back under Wilcox's trope of we teach them how to do or to do better, to be healthier. It's all part of that oppression. So let's come to this concept. So unbecoming is positioning itself in opposition to Wilcox, to theories of resilience, to patching up and getting people back. And it says that we actually have to spend the time with people, allowing them to deconstruct who they've become because of context, because of perhaps poverty and patriarchy, perhaps because of race in our context, or perhaps because I live in Sika Lake and Kenville. and to begin to offer them opportunities and space to think of small choices that they can make, and to show them ways to create and to take back the power to enter into those fractures, and hence change sometimes small things and sometimes big things. So this happened fluidly and organically in my research. When participants asked me to continue to work with them in female groups, and the concept came from what happened in those groups. And I say then that without it, we will constantly foreground these oppressive legacies. And that would be an injustice to being an occupational therapist and an occupational scientist in the global south. It would be tantamount to being part, and if you want to use occupational justice, to being part of an unjust society that's perpetuating occupations of injustice. Okay? So this is the last slide, very complicated academic terms, but it's to remind us that there are symptoms all over. There are symptoms in your case presentations now. There are symptoms in the research that was presented. And the symptoms are about when we're saying, this is the context of micro enterprises. This is the context of why people can't observe ergonomic principles. So that materiality of life, why we do what we do, actually is symptomatic. It's glaring at us, but we're not noting it other than as just notes. What do we do with it? And I say because of that, we have this way we live, the materiality of what we do in life. We're doing our lives under particular circumstances, okay? And then lastly, I say, because of your training, because we haven't figured out how to create yet a curriculum that critically observes but levels the playing field and also has active ways we're trying to mitigate these injustices. We are in our own heads, in our own conceptualization, we also need to unbecome. So I'm saying we, as OTs and occupational scientists or as occupation activists, we need to unbecome our thoughts, our imaginations, and in our therapy sessions for our clients, and to offer them spaces to unbecome and to then change society. So if you, in lunchtime, please go and re-look at these beautiful photos that the fourth years are exhibiting, and think about what they've written. Read the curation notes. Read what they saw, what they wanted you to see. Because the first step is to unbecome ourselves. I look forward to seeing you out in the gallery. Thanks, everyone.
Dr. Christopher, everyone. Thank you very much for sharing your PhD findings. Thank you for elevating the conversation. And it sounds like there's a lot of uncomfortable conversations we need to have as a profession or as a society. And thank you for those fancy words as well. It's a lot of learning, guys. So yeah, some food for thoughts there. We are going to move to the next segment. Just give me a second. Okay, so we are going to welcome our examiners to the stage to tell us a bit about the results. Round of applause, please, just to welcome them.
Hi, everybody. Wow, what a morning. We've been blown away by the researchers. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work. It's been an amazing, amazing morning. And I can't begin to tell you, the topics have just been amazing. It's been so relevant. You're already asking the right questions. You're already on that part of exciting beginnings, and I can't begin to imagine what you're going to do when you get into that clinical field. So well done. Some of you were a little bit easier to hear than the others, but every single one of the research topics were relevant today. You had clinical topics, you had community topics, you discussed students and their research, AI, ergonomics, primary health care, absolutely relevant on every level. I think we just want to say, we want you to just ensure that your results are focused on your population or the system or the condition that you're researching. Just be careful a little bit about generalizing the results, especially when the sample size is really small. Sometimes your research can be taken out of context, especially in the Department of Health when we look at a small district. The Department of Health is quite large, and we have different districts. Some are rural, some are urban, some have a lot of resources, others don't. So just something like that for you guys to consider for the future. There's a really unequal distribution of resources, skills, and knowledge right across our province. So sometimes you're going to see a wonderful space with a lot of knowledge and skills, and other times you're not going to see this. So just some of the positives of some of your research. Every single topic was relevant. Both Dr. Mapanza and myself were very, very excited on the topic choices. They were well guided by the supervisors. We definitely saw that in the way the presentations were done and the different types of methodology. There was a good quality of research presented today. It was balanced, and it showed a good representation of the different types of methodology. There was evidence synthesis, there's qualitative and quantitative research, so thank you for that. All your studies are publishable, so I'm just going to encourage you, go out there and write it. If you don't write it, if you don't show it, if you don't prove it, it's going to get lost. It's going to get lost in the woodwork, and we're not going to see that develop into anything more. So please go out there and do that. Just some of your challenges. Some of your researchers, we definitely did see some inaccuracies with the methodology, like your data analysis. So please pay more attention to that and perhaps correct that. And just ensure that all people in your group are also represented. And then identify your limitations based on your districts, etc. Overall, well done, class of 2025. We are just super excited over what you've done. And then the winning group today, guys, the winning group. Every one of you are winners by the fact that you have presented here today and for all of this work. But just one was a little more clearer than the rest. One of them, we were able to see just a little bit more, and it was more concise and communicated much better than the rest of it, and it was very clear for us, methodology, discussions, etc. So the winning group is Occupational Therapy Students' Perceptions of the Concept of Primary Healthcare in KwaZulu-Natal and the Gap Between Curriculum. Well done. Yeah, I think there's a photo apparently. Where's the supervisor?
and the best dressed group.
Are we gonna clap again? So well done, the winning group. Everyone is a winner, of course, but they just did a bit better. We saved the best for last. So yeah. So on to the next item. We are going to call Dr. Ndaba. She's gonna do the vote of thanks and presentation of the token of appreciation. The stage is yours.
Thank you, soon to be Dr. Monaring. Greetings, everyone, staff, team, students, and our esteemed guest, Mrs. Angela Chetty. On behalf of the discipline of OT, we thank you so much, not only for your time, but just your valuable contribution always. As Dr. Mpanza had mentioned in the beginning, like we value how you nurture our students, the feedback that you give, volunteering your team to teach and train alongside us here at UKZN. We'd like to just acknowledge all your efforts. I did my electives at Gray's a couple of decades ago. And Mrs. Angela Chetty, we hope that you can continue to be a part of our team and build stronger relationships as you nurture our students. Thank you so much. Please don't leave because we're going to do certificates handing for everyone because everyone is a winner. Okay, so can the groups come in order of how they presented so that Mrs. Angela Chetty can give you your certificates and you can get a picture? And the supervisors, please, as well. So can we have the first group that presented, that was scoping review, with Dr. Gina Rankin and Mrs. Bonang Mhlekwa. Let's give them a hand. Can our academic leader, Dr. December Mpanza, also come up? Thank you. We have... Alia Yusuf Nakura. So the next group, sorry, that would be our exploring activities associated with informal micro enterprises, supervised by Mr. Ludo Monaring and Mrs. Julie Linga, who's not here today. We have Lundiwe Twala, Naila Esak, and Tandiwe Bandile Masugu. Let's give them a hand. Thank you so much. Okay, the next group. Understanding and application of ergonomics by OTs at public hospitals in KZN, supervised by Ms. Nontobeko Kumete and Ms. Belinda Malinga. Maiden surname is Malinga, married surname is Masinga. Andiles Pilenzele, Vidya Jabraj, Savannah Eden Prange, Ayanda Kumalo, and Mlulegi Nkonsenhle Mbatha. All right, thank you so much. Next, we have use of AI applications, academic occupations amongst physiotherapy and occupational therapy students at UKZN, supervised by me and Prof. Pri Govender. Come down. And Dr. Michael is our biostatistician, but he's not here. He's in Nigeria. So thank you. And then the names are Asanda Ngubane, Kanyisile Gina, Ketogushe Charles Mtembu, Hawa Bibi Kasim Ahu, and Ngobile Nzima. All right, thank you. Next, we'll have occupational therapy students' perception. Oh, no, we've had the winning group. Should have been AI. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much, Mrs. Angela Chetty. You can take a seat. All right, so congratulations, everyone. Can we just give everyone a hand once again? Thank you to Mrs. Angela Chetty, as I'd said before. Thank you to our academic leader, Dr. December Mpanza. We are letting you go as you have another commitment. Thank you so much for joining the day. Okay, I'd like to also thank the staff team. Supervisors, you work really, really hard. Well done to you. Can we all just give ourselves a clap? Well done to all the supervisors. Job well done. And to our fourth years, everyone has already said that we wish you all the best as you continue to grow in research. How many of you are coming back for your masters? Hands. Okay, we hope to see you soon. After ComServe, please come back and register. You guys have already started to contribute to the profession, so you're doing an amazing job. We hope to see those publications. And as Dr. Chantal Christopher has spoken about becoming and unbecoming, we hope that you guys also apply that to your own personal journeys as you journey forward. Okay. As you can see, I'm using Journey a lot. I did not use ChatGPT for this presentation. Thank you to our third years. Guys, all the best with your proposals. We hope that you're inspired and that you are looking forward to the journey with research as you continue forwards. Another special thanks goes to Dr. to be Mr. Luther Monarang for emceeing. We do have a gift for you, so you can come forward. Thank you so much. Live. And I'd also like to thank Salome. Salome has done so much in terms of planning and Shifiwe, so thank you so much to our team. Thank you, Salome. You don't want to come to the front, okay? That's it, basically. So now I'm going to hand over back to Mr. Ludo Monarang, who's going to close for us and explain what's happening next. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, guys, this is the end of the live stream. People can go back to being themselves. Yeah. So yeah, thank you, everyone. I don't think I have to do that. So we have the main item, the last item, which is food. So I understand there's doggy bags, takeaways, so people can decide whether they're sticking around. There's a request from Dr. Christopher for people to view the pictures. Please do that. But other than that, you guys are free. Thank you.